Welcome to the very first episode of 10-Minute Blitz, where I give you a recap of every single NFL game from the last week in 10 minutes or less, with videos dropping every Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Let's dive right into Thursday Night Football between the New York Giants and the Washington Football Team. With Ryan Fitzpatrick on IR, with the hip injury, Taylor Heinicke got the start. The last time we saw the 28-year-old was in a closer-than-expected playoff game against the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Heinicke threw a real starting quarterback level throw to Peoples Seals-Jones with 4:40 left in the fourth quarter to put his team up 27-26. Later, Washington had a chance to ice the game, but Taylor made a costly mistake as Bradbury jumped a ball intended for McLaurin, who actually ended the game with 11 receptions and 107 yards. At that point, the Giants were in the driver's seat, but a 3-and-out forced them to settle for a field goal and gave Taylor a chance at redemption with the ball and 2 minutes left on the clock. They got a field goal range, but missed the field goal. But wait, Dexter Lawrence was offsides. Are you kidding me? Dustin Hopkins took the retry. He would make the retry, and Washington wins 30-29. On to Sunday's games. Let's dive into the local team here, the Las Vegas Raiders, traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Early in the game, the Raiders get pressure on Big Ben, who threw an errant interception to Trayvon Mullen in an otherwise uneventful first half. Moving into the third quarter, Carr drops back and finds Foss Moreau in the back of the end zone to give Vegas a 16-7 lead, and leading them to seemingly one of the biggest upsets of the early slate of games. The Steelers found themselves down 2 scores in Week 1 against the Buffalo Bills, and were certainly not out of the game just yet. Early in the fourth, Roethlisberger finds Chase Claypool deep down the field. 2 plays later, Ben throws a shallow ball to Najee Harris, who runs down the sideline and dives into the end zone. He finished the game with 38 yards rushing, 43 yards receiving, and that score that you just saw. When it looked like the game was starting to go in Pittsburgh's direction, Derek Carr throws way down the field to Henry Ruggs for a 61-yard touchdown to put them put the game out of reach. Raiders win 26-17. Next, Urban Meyer was looking to rebound from their ugly Week 1 loss to the Texans at home against the Denver Broncos. Things looked like they were getting on track for Jacksonville as they marched down the field on the opening drive of the game, and Trevor Lawrence made a nice throw to Marvin Jones for a 25-yard touchdown. That would be their only offensive touchdown of the game, though. Right before halftime, Teddy Bridgewater would finally get things going for the Broncos, finding Tim Patrick on a shallow crossing route, which he, cruised into the end zone to give them a 10-7 lead. They would go on to dominate in the second half, starting off with a long throw to Courtland Sutton. He finished the game with 159 yards on 9 receptions. That drive concluded with a 14-yard touchdown to Noah Fant. Broncos win 23-13. On to the Bills and Dolphins. Not much to say in this one. It was all Buffalo Bills. The Dolphins got a big old goose egg in this contest, and even worse, they had their young QB Tua Tagovailoa go down with the rib injury. He is currently listed as day-to-day. Josh Allen looked mad sus in Week 1 after securing his huge 6-year, $258 million contract extension this offseason. He certainly had the haters in mind in this performance after finding Stephon Diggs late in the first quarter off a nice scramble. The running attack also had their way as Devin Singletary and Zach Moss combined for 3 TDs. Bills take this one 35-0. The Browns and Texans had a much more interesting game than anyone expected. Things looked par for the course early in this one as Andre Robert fumbles off the punt with 12 minutes to go in the first quarter. The Browns capitalized with an Andy Janovich 1-yard carry. The Texans would bounce back on the very next drive with a 22-yard screen to Phillip Lindsay to even things up. Jumping to the middle of the second quarter on third down, Tyrod Taylor uses his legs and walks into the end zone. The Browns had started to feel the heat after losing a close one in Kansas City last week. They got a massive break in this one as Tyrod Taylor would go down with the hamstring injury in the second. He is looking to miss around 4 weeks currently. It would be all Cleveland after that, capitalized by a 26-yard touchdown run by Nick Chubb late in the fourth. Browns win 31-21. Moving to the Bengals-Bears, where there was not much action early. The biggest piece of news was a non-contact injury Andy Dalton suffered in the second quarter, and Justin Fields would come in to replace him. Let's go to the fourth quarter. Joe Burrow on third down throws a pick to Roquan Smith, who makes a nice move and takes it all the way to the end zone. A nice play there by one of the best linebackers in the NFL. The next drive, Joe Burrow again throws an interception. Burrow's next throw after that, another one. Justin Fields failed to score a TD on any of those turnovers, and suddenly the game got interesting. 4.5 left in the fourth. Who else but Jamar Chase? 42 yards off the score, and the game is 10-20. Justin Fields on the next drive. A horrible pick to the Bengals. Oh my. The next play, a short pass to T. Higgins, and hold on, we have a ball game here. Redemption time for Fields, who has a crazy scramble on third down to ice the game. Bears win 2017. A barn burner in Philadelphia. Let's jump to the second quarter. Jalen Hurts from his own end zone finds Quez Watkins for a huge gain down to the 6-yard line. But wait, 4th and goal? You gotta be kidding me. After all of that? A bizarre end around that ends in a thrown away ball. What in the world is going on here? To the fourth quarter, a depleted 49 running group sees who else but JaMychal Hasty burst for a huge run to about the 4-yard line. 2 plays later, Jimmy G barrels forward for the score. San Francisco takes this one 17-11. Jameis Winston was an absolute monster in Week 1, not so much in this game against the Carolina Panthers. A dominant first half by the Panthers ends in one of the worst passes in Winston's career. He would finish with 111 yards passing and 2 INTs. You know who doesn't stink, though? Christian McCaffrey. He had a nice 11-yard run at the end of the fourth quarter in a blowout. He ended with 72 rushing yards and 65 yards receiving with that score that you saw. Not too shabby. Panthers 26, Saints 7. A great game in Indy this week saw them take on the Rams. Matthew Stafford got things started with his favorite target, Cooper Kupp, on a 15-yard connection. I have a feeling I will be saying that a lot this season. Let's check in during the fourth quarter. Wentz finds Zach Pascal, a successful 2-point conversion, makes this game 14-17. The Colts weren't done. A botched punt gives them a touchdown and the lead on the ensuing drive. Who else but Cooper freaking Kupp? Rams win this one by a field goal, 27-24. Next on the slate, the Jets-Patriots. Zach Wilson did not have the best game, to put it lightly. 4 interceptions. That's right, 4. The Jets defense held up pretty well, all things considered, except for this play by Damian Harris, who just embarrassed this defense and was touched by nearly every single New York defender. New York wins this one at 25-6. The afternoon games would be a lot more exciting this week, starting off with one of the best shootouts of the season. The Vikings take on the Cardinals. You knew it would be special from Rip when Kirk Cousins finds KJ Osborne for 64 yards. The Cardinals come right back. The magician Kyler Murray finds his guy, DeAndre Hopkins, wide open. How is that guy always open, by the way? The next drive, Cousins throws to his favorite target, Thielen, who continues his red zone dominance. In the second quarter, Cousins rolls to his left, throws across his body, and throws a nice one to his receiver, Justin Jefferson, to take a commanding 20-7 lead. This Cardinals offense would not be silenced. With 3:25 left in the second quarter, Kyler Murray scrambles for a 12 yards and a touchdown. Even later in the first half, Murray again making plays with his legs finds Rondale Moore for 77 freaking yards. Unreal. This back-and-forth contest saw the Vikings in position to win on a 37-yard field goal. Greg Joseph misses it right. I think being a kicker in Minnesota is a curse. They lose a heartbreaker, 33-34. Not much to talk about in the Buccaneers-Falcons game. This was never going to be a fair contest from the start. Old man Brady throws for 5 touchdowns, including this first one to Gronkowski in the first quarter. They would finish this contest off with 2 pick sixes from Mike Edwards. Is anyone sick of Tom Brady in Tampa Bay? Anybody? Bucs win 48-25. A surprising defensive battle took place in LA that saw the Chargers take on the Cowboys. Dallas did their damage early in this contest with 2 rushing touchdowns in the first. One was an end around to Tony Pollard, and the other Zeke Elliott on a 5-yard hit. Pollard and Elliott would combine for 180 yards and 29 carries in the contest. The Chargers would not be completely iced from the game as Herbert finds Mike Williams on a 12-yard catch and run. A field goal battle ended in an amazing 56-yarder from Greg Zerloin. The Cowboys avoid an 0-2 start and win 20-17. What looked to be a real bad look for the Titans turned out to be an incredible game. In the second quarter, Russell Wilson finds his guy Ty Lockett, who continues to burn defenses all year long. What looked to be the biggest play of Julio's early stint with the Titans late in the second quarter was taken away, and Tennessee was forced to settle with a field goal. How did the Seahawks respond? A touchdown from Chris Carson despite only having a minute to do so. The second half would not go the same way. Derrick Henry would not be denied. The guy had 3 rushing touchdowns in the second half alone, including this 60-yarder. He finished the game with 182 yards and 55 receiving yards. That is unfair. On to overtime, a defensive battle sees 2 punts at the start. On the third drive, who do you think had gotten them into field goal range? Randy Bullock finishes game off. Titans win the thriller in OT 33-30. Sunday Night Football saw the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Baltimore Ravens. This one started off strangely. Lamar Jackson throws a pick six on the opening drive of the game. How did they respond? A recovered fumble in the end zone, of course. There would be little defense played in this game throughout. Just look at this play by Byron Pringle. This is silly. You want to know what's even more silly? This Travis Kelce catch. I mean, is anyone going to make a play on the football? How do you let this happen? This is laughable. Late in the fourth, the Chiefs have a commanding drive to set them up for the game-winning field goal. But wait, Clyde Edward Ellaire is stripped from rookie Jason Owa. Oh my goodness. The Ravens convert on a fourth down and ice the game. Baltimore hangs on at this point by a single point, 36-35. Monday Night Football was a lot more interesting than people thought it would be, mostly because the Packers' defense stinks. Jared Goff carved up the Packers early. He started off by finding Quintez Cephas on a short 5-yard pass. In the second, Jared Goff to TJ Hawkinson on the 8-yard score. The only issue for the Lions would be that they were playing against Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones. Jones finishes with 4 total touchdowns. Look at this pass from Aaron Rodgers to Robert Tonyan. That is just unfair, man. A few turnovers from Detroit made this game get out of hand real quick. Green Bay puts the nail in the coffin on this one with a 1-yard rush from Aaron Jones. Packers end this week on a big victory, 35-17. That does it for week 1, or I should say week 2 of 10-Minute Blitz. Be sure to check out grabit.com and delivering sports all over the web. Also, check out my companion piece, World of Matchups, that previews all the games every week. Link will be in the description, and I'll see you guys next week.